And welcome to a brand new week of Capital Talk, a program we hope will have an impact on the future of Kenya. And now more than ever, I'm Jeff Koinange. Now a brand new week means a brand new theme, and we've picked a good one that's going to be as controversial as it will be on fire. Kicking it off on this Monday with a young man. I tell you, this man, guts, folks, guts. He's a real rebel, and that's the theme this week, rebels with or without a cause. It's up to you to decide. This young man, he's blogger extraordinaire. And who would have thought that bloggers would get so much notoriety? But this young man, with his blogging, Dennis Itumbi.com, blogging about everyday issues, and yes, stirring the hornet's nest. A few weeks ago, on a routine trip, coming back from Embu, was arrested. And you will hear how dramatic the arrest was. And then he was allegedly, and we'll keep that as allegedly, accused of hacking into not only the ICC website, but the Foreign Commonwealth Office website as well. Ridiculous, you think? Dennis Itumbi is fearless. He spent a whole weekend in jail. Tell us about that too. That's why I called him Jailbird on Twitter. But all I meant was he spent the weekend in jail, and the charges, none yet. Meantime, sit back. If you want to follow him on Twitter, it's Ole Itumbi, at Ole Itumbi. And of course, the website, DennisItumbi.com. Sit back for the hacker himself, the blogger. What, do they call you a hacker now? Are you like the hacker?
Interestingly, when I go to my local butchery, my butcher now says, "Hope you're not coming to hack my meat." It's become a serious joke. My mother was here during that time because she was coming in from Kisumu for the head teachers conference, and she was going back to Embu. Yeah. And when the release was over, and she was joking with me and telling me, "Now you need to come and hack around and see what the teachers are doing." On a lighter note.
But Dennis, were you surprised? Because you had gone to Embu for some great, amazing function. You were speaking to some kids, inspiring them and everything. And then on the way back is when this incident happened. Tell us.
Well, Kenya Drama National Festivals, the chairman calls me on the evening and tells me, "Dennis, you have to come and become my guest." So I go down to Chuka High School, where I give some presents. My friend Major Chilchil had given some 15,000 to give to the best dance. Then I'd also called a few friends, including government spokesman Alfred Mutua, who had given some little money to give to the best actor and actress. And of course, I gave something else for the best soloist and the best producers. On my way back, I stopped in a shopping center just to buy some drinks, to come, some water, just to quench my thirst as I came down. Then I'm stopped by traffic policemen, which is an issue thing because it was the evening around 5:30. So they stopped me, and I had a driver who stopped the car. Then a plainclothes policeman comes in and says, "Give us your IDs." I protested because, come on, the practice is you stop me in traffic, ask for my driving license. And I was not even driving. Yeah. So he complied, asked for the driving license. It did not match what he was looking for. Then he says, "No, you have to give me IDs." I therefore get my press card, because I had not carried my wallet. So I give my press card to him. He looked at the press card, flipping it up. I thought I was Saddam Hussein for a moment. He said, "We have got him." And then from nowhere, about 21 machine gun holding policemen surround my car.
Now, is there traffic behind you and in front? Are there cars?
There were cars in front of me and there were cars behind me. At that moment, when he said, "We have him," they stopped stopping because they were stopping every car that was coming up. What I came to learn later is that they were tracking the signals from my phone. So they were stopping every car because they knew I was around that area. So within minutes, my phone is switched off. I was with a colleague I work with and the driver. Their phones are switched off. And in a matter of seconds, Jeff, I could not communicate to the world. That's how easy it is to be shut down from the world. Now, I had two dilemmas. One, I had a relative jetting in at the JKIA and was supposed to be picked by myself. And that is one of the reasons why I actually left the drama festival before it was over, because I wanted to be in Nairobi early. Anyway, they switch off my phone, they take off, they ask me what else I have, they take my cameras, they take my... At this point, they have not told me whether I'm under arrest. In fact, I insist, am I under arrest? Because if I'm under arrest, I have some specific rights which I need to invoke. Then they say I'm not under arrest, then I tell them that they have no rights to take my stuff. But they insist, and they bundle me in another car, a Peugeot 504, and my colleagues go with the car which we had come with. The driving was crazy. From Embu town to Moya town, a distance that normally, because of the bumps, you'd normally take 25 minutes. We took 9.5 minutes. It's crazy. they overlap on the wrong side. A lorry is coming, speeding, guns are cocked out. It was, I was acting in a movie. I think if there were CCTV cameras in Kenya, I think I'll be applying for rights for Hollywood. Then shortly, in Mwea, they decide they want to buy rice. Now, due to my connections in the area, I tell them instead of buying rice at 150 shillings, I can show you how you can buy rice at 100 shillings and negotiate for you. Surprisingly, they agree. So we go to a place with 3 shops where I knew the owners. So I take them and negotiate for rice for them for 100 bob. So as I scramble to buy the rice, I tell them I need to buy water myself. So I casually walk to a shop, and because I'd bought the rice, so I'd softened the map. In the shop, I give the shopkeeper 500 bob and tell her, these are the numbers you call. All the numbers I had memorized. Gave all the numbers and told her, say Dennis is arrested and Facebook. Because I knew the power here only belonged to the bloggers.
Right.
By the time we were leaving Mwea and we were in Muranga, those guys could not keep their phones on. They were wondering what had happened between that time because everyone was calling their bosses, asking, who is this guy you've arrested? Why is it everywhere? And I must appreciate Kenyan social media users, including journalists themselves. They put a lot of weight on the matter, and I can assure them it was felt to the highest level.
Wow. It's incredible. You just mentioned social media, which is not that old here in Kenya, but it's very active, eh?
Yeah, you know, but basically we are number 2 in Africa. That's not mean fit because Nigeria has a higher population than Kenya. Yeah. Yet the Kenyan Twitter users especially have managed to show that we are aggressive. I only hope that, Jeff, we can now turn this thing away from having selective arguments to debates that can change this society.
Correct, because there's a lot of hate out there.
Yeah.
It becomes personal.
In fact, that's one of the reasons, and I'll tell you, I'm sure we'll be discussing later, but there's a website on kenyadecides.com which kenyadecides.co.ke, and you're telling Kenyan aspirants, you need to stop the hate. We have to use social media because every politician is getting on social media. And they're using the same technique. You know, the politician of Kenya is take the microphone and talk to the people in a rally, and then after that, the people go find their food and we go to a hotel. Yeah. We have to change that, Jeff.
Absolutely.
And the only way to change that is to take the microphone from the politicians. Let them now be the ones sitting in the sun. And when it rains, they should not leave because we don't leave when you're in the rally. Exactly. Let them sit in the rally and let's talk to them about our issues.
Good. We're going to get to that in a moment, like you said. So you finally end up at CID headquarters.
Yes. CID headquarters, they release my friends. They still don't tell me I'm under arrest, but they tell me I'm sleeping at Muthaiga. So I tell them people sleep at Muthaiga when they're under arrest. And you have to file my name on an OB, so you have to allow me to call my lawyers. They say no. You're not allowing me to call your lawyer. But my lawyers had already been caught by Facebook anyway. So they were stopping something that cannot be stopped, like a river. So by the time I was at Muthaiga, the lawyers were there, friends, family. It was a jammed place. And they booked me at Muthaiga for illegal access to confidential documents. OB number 66, I cannot forget that. So I get in. Two things happen over the night. I would just want to mention one. There's this child, and that actually talks to what we should do to our police. I think we need to introduce counsellors at the police station level because there's an old woman who brings 2 children, one 13 years old, one 11 years old, and the younger girl is impregnated by this boy who is 13. And the auntie, who I come to learn later, is the auntie offers and says these two kids are actually relatives. So the conversation that comes out is, he is similar, Etu, this is not our tradition. Then the other conversation that comes out is, when you give birth, please leave the kid where you give birth to. Then they tell the young child, now you're a mother at 13. You're going to be a grandmother at 25. You see the trauma that kid has. Already she has a problem because she's 1 month pregnant. She should be getting counseling. I do not blame the police because their training is to keep law and order. But now they also have to solve social issues. And if that is the case, then you need to put social counselors at the police station level.
And that was only one incident. Can you imagine what happens when you're not there? I mean, every day at every police station around the country.
Yeah, you can. And there are many other issues that came out at the police station level, which I learned. And you see, when you come from the elite in the society, you're treated differently than the guy who comes from the normal village at the police station. And I'm not complaining, but I'm saying I saw people that evening who had been arrested at Muthaiga police station. They serve Muthaiga, they serve Pangani, and they serve Mathare. People arrested from Mathare. For instance, there is one lady who had just come from a honeymoon, and she was arrested because she had kissed her husband at the door. I mean, it's a natural reaction to come back and hug and kiss people, but she was arrested and put in without an argument. But there is this rich businessman who was arrested from Pangani for defrauding some money. He comes in, gets bond terms, yet the other lady had asked for bond and she was told you can't get bail at night. But these ones get bail and they pay and they go. There is some treatment that needs to be changed. The class system should not invade our police station. Capitalism should remain at the banks, not at the police station.
Correct. And there's a disconnect between the way we treat, white collar crime and no crime at all, because kissing is not a crime.
Exactly. And even how we treat alcoholics. It's and I respect my friend from Naivasha, John Mutudo. The Mutudo law has really helped bring order and service everywhere. But there's a way you treat a person who is a drunkard, who definitely you will not charge in court tomorrow because they will be sober. Yeah. And most of those guys don't see court. They just put in a police station for the night and then the next morning they go. Although, of course, the police also say that swoop helps to reduce crime. But I would rather our concentration be on prevention of crime than arresting people who are already drunk, because it just feeds our police stations. And then the maintenance of the police stations, oh my God, at Muthaiga, some of us are going back. So, immediately after my release, I went back and I've donated 2 mattresses there. The toilets are blocked, so those guys have to be given buckets. At a time when we moved from Homo sapien, I think it's time we reversed.
We changed that, huh?
We reversed that.
Yeah.
And I think me and you and many others need to go back to those police stations and just offer, even if it's a water dispenser, which we give water every month. I think it will be good.
It's that bad.
It's very bad.
From Muthaiga, you were transferred to Kile?
No, from Muthaiga in the morning, I was taken to CID headquarters again. Oh. At CID headquarters, when I arrived, I asked for bond again. They told me, no, you're not going to get bond. You're going to spend the weekend at a police station. Wow, that got me a surprise. It was beginning to break me because I knew I had not committed any crime. But anyway, so I say, by the way, you guys only took 1 laptop. I have another laptop in the house which I would like you guys to have, because by now the police who are handling me had already whispered to me what they were intending to charge me with, and it was computer related. So I offered them. So we went to the house. They insisted on a search of the house. I declined because for you to search my house, you have to have a warrant. And in any case, it's me who has offered information. Correct. I have a computer. Yeah. So we go get the computer. Then you go. So I gave them the computer. We went back. They alleged that I had not cooperated in the search of the house. And so they were going now to lock me. Don't forget, even before I went, they told me they're locking me. So this was just an excuse. So I said, okay, well, but I'm not going back to Muthaiga. So they asked me, they told me then you're going to take you to Juja or somewhere. I told them that's no problem, but don't take me to Muthaiga or even take me to Kiambu police station. Then one of the cops says, if this guy is being accused for hacking computers, then let's take him to Kileleshwa. Of course, I don't understand why at that point they're talking of Kileleshwa, but I'm later whispered to that Kileleshwa has more space and stuff. So I say, okay, good. So we go to Kileleshwa. But before that, they take me to the interrogation room. I'm sure, Jeff, you've seen those stories. A person is grilled at the CID headquarters. I personally covered them, stayed outside CID headquarters for 8 hours as they grilled different people. So it was interesting to be in that interrogation room myself. So first of all, they play games. They give me an old newspaper. I think it was a 1997 newspaper. I could not even relate with some of the things that were being said there. So they leave me there for 1 hour trying to break me up, locked. But at least there were windows so I could see the trees. In fact, I sat at the window and began composing poetry because I also do poetry. Yeah. So after 1 hour, they come back. They come back with a computer. They tell me they would like to take my statement. And the statement begins. They give me, first he writes some few things. The chief of police who is in charge of cybercrime. Right, with 3 other guys, they write a few things. Then I noticed we are taking 1 hour to write 1 paragraph. So I tell this guy, look, just give me the questions. So he writes the questions in about pen and paper. Then I tell him, let me type my statement personally, because it was Thursday. It was already at 2. If you're going to take 1 hour for every paragraph or a statement that's likely to be about 50 paragraphs, you're going to go up to 9. So I said no. Yeah. And I now understand why they take long there, because the interrogation is so slow.
Yeah, and it's all manual.
And it's all manual. So I take the computer. They give me the questions and I begin typing out my statement. Some of the questions which I can remember, of course I've put them up on my blog for people can catch up there, but there's some questions which were interesting and which I can remember. For instance, they asked me, how many times does your name appear in websites across the world? I was not rude, but I offered education. Yes. Just give me a computer, you go to Google and see. I would also be interested to know. Yeah. These are guys who are supposed to be investigating cybercrime, right. So they should be knowing that for you to ask, you don't need to ask such a question, you can Google it and get it.
I want to know whether, after the break, Dennis, did they actually say that you hacked into the ICC website and also the FCO website, all these, did they actually say that to you? And, was this the actual charge? Also, what was it like? 4 days in jail, man. I mean, and in the end, there's no charge. And they still have your stuff.
Yes, laptops.
Let's take a break. DennisItumbi.com or at Ole Itumbi, folks. What a story. What a blogger. What a hacker. This is what this week is all about, folks. Rebels with or without a cause, you decide. But Dennis, no doubt, has a story to tell. And he tells it every day. Check it out. Don't even think of touching that remote control, and it's only Monday. The bench is back in a moment. And welcome back to Capital Talk. It's only Monday, folks, and the bench is already lighting up. We're talking about rebels with or without a cause. And up first, no doubt a man, whether he's hated or loved, whatever it is, he is controversial. Do not get on his wrong side in the stratosphere or the blogosphere, because Dennis Itumbi takes no prisoners. Sit back. Speaking of prisoners, 4 days in jail, Dennis. 4 days. Was it rough?
First day at Muthaiga, that was rough. It was a surprise for me. It was a normal day. So for me, that was a surprise. At Kileresha, I decided to enjoy myself. Partly because the OCS was also a person who was willing to give info. He took me to a cell which he told me some bit of history that former retired President Daniel Moi spent there during his days as Legico member. So those were interesting things to learn. He was almost like building my ambition. I'm not announcing it on the bench. But basically, I met quite a number of interesting guys. At Kilelesho, I met some lawyers who were there because some guys stole money in the US and sent them to their accounts, and they were now charged with obtaining money, and they were fighting it. Some of them were saying we did it, but they can't prove it. You know, we are criminals, but you can't prove it. Yeah. And the interesting thing about cells is how you introduce yourself. For instance, whereas I was in a different cell party because of my crime, I asked the police to allow me to mingle with people at Kilelesho. So they opened me the main cell. The interesting thing is, the first interaction in a cell is, why are you here? So everyone tells me I'm here, I was involved in a rape. Everyone tells me we went to steal in a bank somewhere in Korogosho, mugging. Then it was my turn.
Was it full? Was the cell full?
Yeah, the cell was
like
full.
What, 10, 15?
Talking about 20 guys. Some of them young kids, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
So it comes to your turn?
So I'm supposed to say what I'm here for. I've had I can't even tell these guys. So I tell them I'm here because I fought Ocampo. That's a language they can understand anyway. So then the cops, of course the cops have seen it on TV. They have seen most cops by the way are on Twitter and Facebook, which is very interesting why the Kenya police and my friend Eric Raide should consider getting the Kenya police on
Twitter and Facebook and
because
even the military is on.
Yeah.
And Major
Churchill is doing a good job. Yeah.
Great job.
Covered by New York, covered across the world for his job. Even Chief Karaoke.
Correct.
Is doing it.
Yes, a chief who tweets and blogs and stuff.
Yes. So basically, I think they should consider doing it because the thieves are on Twitter, the cops, the junior cops are on Twitter and Facebook. It's foolhardy for the police not to be there officially. The Rwandan police, the South African police, all the progressive police forces which you consider progressive are online. Yeah. It's not good for them not to be offline.
So when you told them you're fighting Ocampo, what did they say?
Of course, there was a mixed reaction in there, and so they were asking, "You slapped him? How did you get him?" You know, and I told them I got him online. You know, I just decided to play with them, and we played a bit, and then they told me, well, some of them, one of them, we started sharing post-election violence stories, and some of them are very touching stories which are never told. A DVD of which I'll give you one because I've already spoken to some of them after I left the cells. So some of them have touching stories, some of them have progressive stories. But anyway, at the interrogation room, I come to know about my charges. And the first 4 charges they give me as we begin is hacking of the ICC website, hacking emails of persons of interest to the ICC. I demand to know which persons. They give me some names. Then the hacking of, uploading alarming videos. And then hacking of, I don't know if I mentioned the FCO website.
FCO, yeah,
the Foreign Commonwealth Office website. So the first charge I go for is a video. I tell them, guys, that video is not mine. Even if you open it up, it's a Kenya Television Network video. So unless you're saying you're charging me, then you're going for editors at KTN, which I don't think will help you because it is a factual video.
Correct.
So that one, they actually strike it out. Not immediately, but they don't ask any further question about it. Then there is the FCO website. So I tell them, Chief Investigator, if you charge me with this in court, I will capitalize on it. Because one, what you're saying, and what you'll be admitting to Kenyans, because I'm also interested to know, is that this document is genuine. Because if I hacked it, then I got it from the source, so it's genuine. So the cops say, Of course, they don't admit immediately. They now leave me. The rest of the questions are based on the two other charges, hacking persons of interest and hacking the ICC website. So the first question is, did you hack the ICC website? You know, even if I had, I would not say yes. But anyway, I haven't. So I tell them, first of all, you don't hack websites, my brothers. You hack servers.
Correct.
So that question is answered. There are about 15 questions. The ones I remember, they asked me, where do you know nipate.com? Nipate.com is a site where a few guys have been uploading what they call hacked emails. So I tell them, of course, it's like a street in Nairobi. I know Kenyatta Avenue, so I know nipate.com because I live in the blogs. I live on the net, so I know nipate.com. So do you know the owners? I tell them, all those things you're asking me are possible to be gotten online. Let's just go to Google and search the IP host. Then from the IP host, you can be able to follow up who owns it. I mean, those things you don't have to sit in an interview and expect answers from me. Yeah. Then they ask a few other questions which I really don't recall, but I know they're on I've put them on a blog when they were fresh in my mind. Then I tell them, I would like to email this statement to myself. So they say you can't open your email. So I tell them, can I use yours? The guys don't have emails. I thought it was a joke. I thought they were saying that so that I don't email myself. Right. But later when I get the card, they actually don't have an email address. So these are cybercrime unit guys. Without email addresses, without Facebook accounts, without Twitter accounts, who will they ever prosecute? Nobody. And you know that's the... By the way, we need to act online. And I've always said this. We need to be responsible for what we say online because we have a people who believe us. Like people watching the bench believe you and you're a brand. Yeah. When you create your brand online, there are people who believe you.
Yeah, they take it as gospel.
Gospel truth.
So when you're there maligning someone or abusing someone, and they do that because, you know, they don't use their real names, yes, then it becomes a little hurtful and that thing will never go away. It'll always be in the blogosphere somewhere.
Yeah, what people need to know is that there are landmark cases across the world where people have been fixed because of their Facebook and Twitter use. If it's not factual, if it's not verified, if it's not truthful, don't say it. Yeah. I mean, if what you can't say, if what you're saying you cannot say standing on Eiffel Tower in Paris, please don't say it.
Correct. Or say it in front of the person's face.
Or say, come and tell me. I mean, if I think the tie you've been wearing on the bench is not what you should be wearing, I'll come and tell you. Correct. I mean, that's why there's a function called DM. Yes. So I can do you a direct message and tell you, I think you need to change on that. Yes. I mean, those are things we have to do because this country belongs to the younger generation. When Michuki died, Kavogo stood in parliament and said they are talked on phone. And one of the things that Michuki said, and I'm not saying Michuki is per se a role model, but he is an elder. And he said, make sure that you decide where this country goes as young people. And that statement, we do not need Michuki to tell us. We are the majority. For voters ages 18 to 39, we are 82%. We need to decide the destiny of this country. And the way we decide it is how we act online.
Correct. And the bottom line is responsibility, isn't it? You have to be responsible.
Bottom line, you have to be responsible. There is no other way. You know, if you can't stand for, if I want to call you a dog, then I must have looked at the characteristics of a dog. I eat everywhere, I go, I bark whenever I see someone else. Those characteristics, you're now assigning them to me. Then I must be able to prove it. And that is why when I was personally arrested, I could be able to face up the cops and tell them, you know what you're saying, I'm ready to go to court. You want me to spend the weekend in the cells? I will, because I will have my day in court and what I say is true. Correct. And that also comes to, and that's what I was telling you about now, the kenyadecides.co.ke, which is responsibility on our part. We are saying, if you're an aspirant, bring your manifesto. Let's discuss your manifesto. We upload it for you. Bring your Facebook and Twitter account so that we are able to reduce the hate that is based on tribalism. Then bring your pledge card. What are the things you're going to say in the first year? And after the first year in power, we are going to audit it. Unless we come up with tools and progressive tools and nurture them, we are not going to go anywhere. And I am sure you're going to be supporting us because you're one of the people you're going to be calling to decide. The people behind it are young guys. If all young guys start doing those things, there's M-Pesa. The softwares were first developed by young guys. Correct. Everything innovative in this country has come from young guys. Let's begin from there. But
at some point, Dennis, someone's going to have to get arrested and jailed for propagating hate. Because, you know, there are a lot of haters out there, bloggers who just spew venom. Unless, you know, some policing or some authority takes over and arrests someone and makes an example, they'll have a free run.
I don't know that I'm allowed to say this, but I'll say it anyway. I have what I'm calling a novel case, and I'm going to go to court with it this week. My aim is not for this guy to be arrested for no reason. In this case, I'll be going for a reason. There is a blogger who's constantly spreads misinformation. He began with a dossier that I had written it, that I had compiled it, and that even on the day I'm the one who distributed it to MPs. He makes me very powerful, by the way, because some of those things, I don't even know some of these MPs. Yeah. And so he basically says, in his opinion, it's not even he doesn't even put it as an opinion, if he said reportedly or allegedly. He posts a document and says this is Dennis Itumbi who's authored it. That's not true. But I gave him a chance. I wrote him a letter from my lawyers, giving him 7 days, through which he was supposed to apologize. Because everybody makes mistakes, and press freedom actually involves making mistakes. So I have to allow people to make mistakes. Even we in media houses make mistakes, and then we carry an apology. But 7 days he did not apologize. I've given him 14 days. I've given him 21 days. I did not send him letters. I just allowed it. But he has chosen not to. So I'll move to court this week, and I will be calling for the court for him to have a platform. In fact, what I will be doing is giving him a platform to table the evidence he says I have that made this document be there. In fact, there is a parliamentary committee investigating that. So if we can't, if for us to help Parliament also to know whether it was a genuine or fake account.
And you're going to appear in front of this parliamentary committee, aren't you?
Yes. There is a nominated MP, Rachel Shebesh, who appeared before the committee, said that one of the people who authored the document is being interrogated at the CID, and at the time I was at the CID. Whereas she can argue there were many people being interrogated, then we bear responsibility, everyone who was being interrogated on that day and that time, to be part of the people she referred to have composed. So one of us definitely composed that. So to help Parliament determine whether it was factual or not factual, I'll be appearing before the committee to basically tell the Adan Koinange-led committee my role in the whole thing, because I can tell, even what is interesting about this thing is that I was in drama, because I'm also a playwright and I write in the Kenya Drama Festivals. In fact, this year I co-scripted a play for Alliance High School. So I was in Kiambu for the district drama festivals, and I was told that has been tabled, and for me that's good blog material. But I had to wait for my play to end. So my play ended and I went. David Mugonyi, who is a parliamentary public relations officer, will tell you I tried to call him and we talked, and he said he also did not have access, and when he got the access he called me to go for the documents. If I had the documents, I don't have had the trouble. In fact, if you look at the uploading I did on my blog, was about 6 hours after it had been reported, which is not my style, because my blog is always fast and fact. So it was not fast and fast, but it was such of public importance that I had to upload it, because there are people elsewhere who rely on it. So I had to upload it. It was my social responsibility. People say you don't make money from blogging. I inspire them. Come over, I will show you how to make money from blogging. And media consultancy doesn't end by being trained as a journalist. You know, Jeff, you're not a journalist because, say, you're employed by K24.
Correct.
You're a journalist because you're trained as a journalist.
Yeah.
And the moment journalists in Kenya understand that, we can become a very powerful force. Until that day, Kenyan journalists combine beyond their employment. That is the day we can be able to change this country. And my challenge has always been, we killed KUJ on the basis of media owners. We killed KUJ on the basis of Kenya Editors Guild. And Kenya Editors Guild became powerful, and credit to them, they have played an important role. But the major milestones in this country in terms of journalism have always been done by journalists. It was a journalist who had written a story before the Standard was invaded. It was a journalist who had done it, who went to the streets. Journalists went to the street to stop the Kenya Media Act and the Kenya Communication Act, which surprisingly I was being charged with after facing all the tear gas in town. But it must come back to journalists. People must go back beyond their employment to come back.
Yeah. DennisItumbi.com, stronger than ever?
That place, this bench is the next article on that blog. You can't miss this tomorrow. Today is the bench.
Tomorrow is the blog. Good to see you, man.
Cheers, man.
And keep fighting, okay?
Cool.
Keep fighting, my brother. Good stuff, man.
Cool.
I don't want to get on your wrong side, man. I do not. And it's only Monday. DennisItumbi.com or at Oleotumbi on Twitter. This man, I tell you, he's fearless. And there's a whole generation, Dennis says, of his fellow folks on Twitter, on Facebook, on the blogosphere. And they are the ones who have to make a change for the future of Kenya. That's why they are rebels, with or without a cause. It's up to you, but it has to start somewhere. And we are in on this game for life. Whoa, it's only Monday. Somebody called G4S. The bench is on fire already with Dennis Itumbi. You cannot find guests like Dennis Itumbi anywhere else but right here on the bench, on the award-winning station, K24, where we are, you guessed it, even in times of first fast fact, we are still all Kenyan.
All the time.
Well done, my brother. Capital Talk is filmed at Fairmont, the Norfolk.